Hello everyone, welcome to Urbanscape Bangalore, and in this episode we will be talking about the Crassula ovata. So the Crassula is a wonderful plant. It is a succulent. It is a native of South Africa, and I must thank Liana from My Plants for actually giving me the name, because I was not able to find out the exact name of this plant. So this is the Crassula. It is also called the money tree or the jade tree by some people. And as you can see, this is a succulent plant. So just like the other succulents, the growing conditions of this plant is also very similar. So I must add here that this plant will be used in a container arrangement or a succulent arrangement, to be very precise, and this is that container which will hold all these succulents. So one by one I am going to describe, and I'm going to tell you on how to take care of each of these plants. I had covered the kalanchoe prior to this, so I'm not going to cover that again, but these are some new succulents that I need to talk to you about. So this plant is also called the jade tree or the money tree because it almost looks like a very small tree with a lot of these branches that it has, and the leaves of this plant is oval in shape, and that is why it is called ovata. Another thing it is called the money tree is because it almost looks like a coin. The leaves almost look like a coin. And as you can see, the edges of the leaves have a pink tinge in them, and if you expose this plant to more sunlight, then the leaves will change its color to a bright pink. So this plant actually flowers during the spring and the summer season, but this is not primarily grown for their flowers. The flowers are not very attractive. It is actually grown for its stems, its leaves, etc. So now let us talk about the growing conditions of this plant. So first, the sunlight requirement. It can tolerate full sun to part shade. If you're growing this indoors, make sure that you expose this to bright sunlight, because otherwise the leaves will fall off if there is any variation in temperature. This is a very sensitive plant. Another thing about this plant is that if at all you are living in an area which gets really harsh sunlight, probably you live in a desert area or something like that, then please do not expose this to full sunlight, because otherwise this would stress the plant out. So what you could do is during the afternoon time, you could probably give this some amount of shade, and this plant will thank you. So if you're keeping this indoors, then I would prefer that you keep it in a southwest location. If you're keeping it outdoors, you could either expose it to full sun, or you could expose it to the north direction, to the southwest, to east, whatever direction. Outdoors is perfectly fine. Watering requirements, like all the succulents, this would require less watering, because if you overwater it, the plant will rot and die. So now let us talk about the potting mix. So I would recommend a well draining potting mix. If you have a cactus mix, then well and good. However, if you do not have a cactus mix, what you can do is you can use 80% of sand and 20% of compost, and that is enough. You can add little bit of garden soil, but make sure that the potting mix should not be overly clay. So now let us talk about the propagation. You can propagate this plant with the help of leaf cuttings or stem cuttings. You can just take a stem cutting of this plant and put it in soil, and you will get a new jade tree. This plant does not require too much of fertilizing. However, I would recommend that you add some compost once every 5 months. This plant is also used for a lot of bonsai arrangements, so probably I will do a small bonsai arrangement with this plant. So folks, this is a wonderful succulent plant which is very forgiving as well, and each and every part of this plant looks really beautiful, and it does not take too much of care for it to flourish and grow. So you can grow this plant in any kind of arrangement, whether you want a terrarium, whether you want a bonsai, whether you want to grow this in the ground, this plant will do really well. So that is it, folks. Thank you for watching Urbanscape Bangalore, and if you liked this video, then please do not forget to like, subscribe and share. And also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. The links will be given below. Until we meet again, goodbye.